Well, we're going to fix a shutter today. Oh boy. Look like this thing's been sitting somewhere in this house for quite a while. It's kind of dusty, but anyway, that's not going to affect what we need to do. We're going to replace, oops, get this down there where you can see what we're going to do. We're going to put another pin in here to hold that together. These pins that they're sending with these shutters nowadays are so small, they're like 1/8 of an inch, so I mean it don't take much to break them. And most people break them by using these to turn them, or the dog gets up there and hits them and knocks them off. So, but anyway, it's a tedious job, but it's not hard. And at the end of the video, I'll show you all the tools that you need. So we'll get started. Well, first let me find the one. There it is. Okay. So this one here. So what I need to do is I want to take the staple out of the rod, because this one is a lot easier to put in than the one on the slat itself. Because I mean, you could put this on while you got the slat out, but it's really tough to put it in when the slat's in. So let me pull this one out. You need a pair of wire cutters or some kind of pair of something to either cut or pull the staple out. And then of course you need to put something against the rod so that you don't damage the paint. You know, a piece of cardboard or something. I usually just like to cut them so I don't have to fight them. Of course, that's me, because I've got tons of them. But I will kind of show you here. Let me grab a hold of this thing here. Okay, and then you put the cardboard in behind it, and then you just pull it out. I mean, you have to kind of wiggle it to get it out, but there it is. Of course, the other part's still in the rod, but we'll get that out. I mean, the staple is out. Take this and then turn it, and then get it out best you can. Now this one has got the older rods, which these are 1/4 inch. These don't break as easy. Golly, these new ones I've seen, man, they're so cotton picking small. Any little old thing will break them. But well, matter of fact, this does have the small ones in there. See, this side here is only 1/8 of an inch. This side here is 1/4. And you can see here. So this one goes back in there. This is the one we're going to have to drill out. Okay, it's going to be best if you can find somebody to hold this, but since I do so many of these, of course, I've got the wrong shoes on, but that's okay. I have some other shoes I use just for this, but then this is that piece of plastic we got to try to get out of there. Okay, I use a 1/16 of an inch drill bit to drill a hole in here. You can even use smaller, just so that I could start this screw so that I could, you know, pull it out. But anyway, okay, now that we've got it out, we need to get this hole and drill a 1/4 inch, and it's going to be a size over 1/4 of an inch. I'll give you the exact here in a second, because we're going to put a 1/4 inch dowel in here with a spring behind it. I'm going to see if I have any 3/16. Okay, I've got my 1/4 inch dowel rod. You can buy these 3 foot long at Ace Hardware, or well, any hardware, but I know Ace has got them because I buy them all the time. And then we need to drill this hole out to just a hair above a 1/4 inch so that it will slide back and forth in there real easy, because what we're going to do, we're going to put a spring in behind this thing. Alright, I got this box of springs. You'd be surprised how many of these I use during the year with this shutter, because this shutter is so thin. These things used to come a lot thicker than this, but they're so thin now because of the material they're using. So we're going to drill this out to a size over 3/16, which is, I'll have to get this like we're doing 174. So the next drill bit size over that. Well, this is my newest set. I have to buy a whole set every year because there's individual ones of these I break or lose or leave behind or something. But anyway, let's see. Okay, so 3/16, so the next one up is 13/64 is the one we need. So, yep, and it's been used many times. Okay, I just need to make sure it goes back in there. 13/64, since we're going to use a 3/16 dowel rod. Again, if you've got somebody to help you hold this, because you need to hold this straight, because when you drill this hole, you need to go in as straight as you possibly can. Now you've got a hole started to where it's going to help you guide through straight. I mean, it's so hard, but if you have the patience, you can do it. Alright, let's see what I've gone this time. Alright, I've gone just a little bit over 1 inch, which is plenty. That's more than enough. You want to make sure it slides in real easy. Whoops, that's the 1/4 inch. Where's the 3/16 inch? Okay. Okay, slides in. It's a little tight, so you can do one or two things. You can sand your dowel down just a hair bit, probably because it's so humid out here today. And of course these dowels, so they're like anything else in wood, they'll soak it up. So yeah, what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to go, I mean, sitting here spinning it around, now it's starting to work pretty easy. I think I'd rather sand it and try to go to the next bit, because you don't want to take a chance. You can see how close we already are to the edge on both sides, so really don't want to go any farther. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut off about 1 inch of this, put it in a drill, get a piece of sandpaper and work it back and forth. I got a piece of sandpaper here. We're just gonna, you want to round over the end just a little bit. There we go. Round it over the end so we don't have any trouble going into the shutter itself. Okay. Oh boy. Now, so when we get the spring, we've got to figure out the length of our spring, which will be, with it compressed, you want it to be about 1/4 inch long, because it will come out to about 1/2 inch. So, to the spring and put it in a paper towel, because I guarantee you when you cut it, this thing's going to shoot out like a rocket. Okay, and just kind of, best as you can, cut off. Let's see if I can get you to see this. That's probably about a 1/2 inch extended. Now we're going to cut it, and it should be down to about 1/4 inch when it's compressed. Okay, Get that out. Save this piece for the next shutter problem. Okay, we're going to drop it into this hole. Okay. Now, whatever you do, don't turn this thing over. That spring will fall out, and then you got big problems. Take your what'd I do with it? Oh, golly. I'm the world's worst about losing stuff. Okay. Now we get this. Whoops, wrong way. Goes in this way. Okay, now what you want to do with the spring in there, you push this down all the way as far as it'll go. Then we're going to mark it. Okay, I push that down. I need to mark this. Okay. This is how far it's going to go into your shutter style. That's about a 1/2 inch, which is more than enough because really it's got this much to move around in there. So it's not like it's going to fall out. So, okay, we need to cut this right there, and then we're going to round over this end so it'll go into the shutter style just fine. And now we don't want to lose it. So we have to round this end off a little bit. Okay, other end, we need to make it flush, okay, with a little round over. All right. Now, at this point, if you need to put a new staple in here, now's the time to do it because it's extremely hard when it's in the shutter itself. But I'll show you how to do that. I mean, it's pretty darn simple. Like I say, while it's out. Where's my wire cutters? Here they are. Now, it'd be best if you could put, and you got to be fast about this and wear gloves. Get you a toothpick. In this case, I'm going to use a nail. What you want to do, you want to just put a little bit of super glue in here because you don't want to drive that staple any farther than it has to go. Whoops. Okay, got that. Kind of push that over the hole. Get your staple. Okay. Now you can measure the height of one of your other staples and your other slats to see if you've got the same distance. Now you want to make sure it goes all the way down flush with the edge of the, when you push that down, in order to get that in to the shutter style. So this is ready to go in. Now you remember we only drilled in about a 1/2 inch to the style itself, which this gives plenty of room for that to go in there. All right, let's put her back together. We do not have the staple in the rod. That's the one we're going to have to put in. I'm going to show you how it's going to be a little easier. But this, like I said, don't tilt this thing over. You'll lose everything. So you want to hold your finger against it. Oh, wait a minute. We need a putty knife. Oh, boy. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say that 100% of the time all these staples are in the center. So what you want to do is you want to flip it up, set it in here side to side, and find out where the staple is. Okay, now we're, well, it might just be a little off. Oh, it might be. I've got it on, pushed it on the wrong side. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, it shows to be centered with this other staple up here. But just for grins, I'll spin it around, check it this way again, push it against this side. Yeah, it's just a hair off that way, so we need to, we're going to have to put it in this way. So what we're going to do, okay, we're going to stick this one in first. Okay, doesn't matter which way it turns, you can always turn it around and get your staple around front. This putty knife is going to use to push that pin back, and now we're going to push it in. Okay, move that. There we go. Okay, and then it fell in the hole. You can see it fell in the hole. Now we just got to put the staple in the front here. Alrighty. Okay, bring that up. And then you just have to line up those two holes in the rod, like I've just done. Once you get your holes lined up, just wiggle it in there just to get it started. You want to make sure you're in both holes. Once you get started, okay, now you're going to need a big pair of pliers. Well, not a big pair. Got a pair of pliers, duct tape or scotch tape or something on one side, so when you squash this together you don't damage the paint here. Get that on there, and then just kind of slowly push that in. Okay, we're in. Now you don't really need what you call super glue on this. Okay, and now we're set. Okay, is that it works both ways before you finish up, because you may have to push this staple in a little more. It just depends on everything. But okay, well, we've got it together, and he's ready to rehang this back in his house again. I know he'll be tickled pink because he's had just an old blind up there, what you call pull shade. He just had a pull shade up there, so he's going to be real thankful about that.